The wind howled across the open land like a warning. Cole Brennan pulled on the reins and slowed his horse at the edge of the ridge, squinting into the fading orange light of sunset. That's when he saw her. A lone figure stood in the middle of the empty plain, too small, too fragile against the vastness of the land. She was lifting warped wooden boards, one by one, dragging them across the dirt. Some were cracked, others barely held together. Her hands moved fast, desperate, as if night itself were chasing her. Cole's jaw tightened. Nobody built out there. Not this far from town. Not with scrap wood and no shelter in sight. For 3 years, Cole had trained himself not to care. Since Emma died, the world had become something he managed, not felt. Wake up, feed the horses. Fix the fences, sleep, repeat. Emotions were dangerous. They reminded him of everything he'd lost. But watching this woman struggle against the wind stirred something he hadn't felt in a long time. Concern. She tried to prop 2 boards together. The wind knocked them down instantly. She stumbled, nearly falling, then pushed herself back up. No tears, no screaming, just raw determination. Damn it, Cole muttered under his breath. Night would be brutal out here. The temperature dropped fast after sunset, and storms came without mercy. If she stayed, she could freeze or worse. Still, he didn't move. Helping meant involvement. Involvement meant questions. And questions led to attachments. He turned his horse slightly, ready to head back to the ranch. Then she collapsed to her knees. Not dramatically, just exhausted, like someone who had already fought too many battles that day. Cole exhaled sharply. Emma's voice echoed in his mind, the one he tried so hard to forget. If you see someone hurting and do nothing, that hurts you too. His grip tightened on the reins. Hell with it. He turned the horse around and rode down the slope. The woman looked up when she heard hoofbeats. Fear flashed across her face, but she didn't run. She just stood there, shoulders squared, bracing for whatever was coming. Cole stopped a few feet away. "You won't last the night out here," he said, voice rough from disuse. She swallowed. "I don't have anywhere else to go." The wind roared between them. Cole glanced at the broken boards scattered on the ground, then back at her determined eyes. "Then you're building the wrong shelter," he said. "And you're not doing it alone." Cole didn't ask her name on the way back to the ranch. He rode ahead, the wagon creaking behind him, loaded with fresh lumber tools and a rolled canvas tarp. The woman followed on foot at first, then he helped her up onto the seat without a word. Her hands were cold, he noticed that immediately, but she didn't complain. They reached the open land again just as the sun vanished behind the hills. "You picked a bad spot," Cole said, jumping down and unloading the boards. "Ground's uneven. Wind hits hard from the west." She nodded, listening closely. "It was the only place no one chased me away." That answer landed heavier than he expected. Cole set to work fast. Muscle memory took over, measuring, leveling, driving nails clean and sure. She watched, then mirrored him, learning quickly. Every time she lifted a board, he saw exhaustion in her shoulders, but also stubborn resolve. "What's your name?" he finally asked. "Sarah," she said. "Sarah Atwell." He paused for half a second, then nodded. "Cole." No last names. No pasts. The wind picked up as darkness settled in. But the shelter began to take shape, 4 solid walls, braced corners, a slanted roof reinforced with tarp and spare tin. Not pretty, but strong, safe. Sarah's hands shook as she tied the last knot. "You didn't have to do this," she said quietly. Cole wiped sweat from his brow. Someone should have. Thunder rolled in the distance. They worked faster. By the time rain began to fall, the shelter stood firm. Inside it was cramped, smelling of fresh wood and wet earth, but it was dry. Sarah sank onto the floor, breathless. For the first time, her strength cracked. She pressed a hand to her mouth, eyes burning. Cole stepped outside, giving her space. He stared out into the storm, rain soaking his hat, feeling something unfamiliar tightening in his chest. It wasn't pity. It was purpose. The storm lasted most of the night. Cole stayed nearby, sitting under the lean-to he'd rigged beside the shelter, listening to the rain pound against the boards. More than once, he checked the structure, reinforcing weak points, making sure nothing gave way. At dawn, the storm finally broke. Sarah stepped out slowly, blinking at the pale morning light. She looked different, still tired, still worn, but alive. Standing. "It held," she said, almost in disbelief. Cole nodded. "Told you it would." She hesitated, then spoke. "I was supposed to leave town weeks ago. The bank took my father's land after he died. Thought I owed more than I could ever pay. I thought, if I built something, anything, I could start over." Cole said nothing. He understood loss better than most. "You can't stay out here," he said finally. "Not alone." Sarah stiffened. "I don't want charity." Didn't offer any. He met her gaze. "I need help on the ranch. Hard work, long days. Pays fair." She studied him, suspicion flickering. "Why?" Cole looked past her, toward the distant hills where his ranch lay quiet and empty. "Because empty places don't fix themselves." The word surprised even him. Sarah nodded slowly. "I can work. I figured you could." He helped her pack what little she had. When they rode back together, the land felt different to Cole, not so hollow, as if something had shifted during the night. But as the ranch came into view, he knew something else too. Bringing her home would raise questions. Whispers, judgments, trouble. Still, for the first time in 3 years, Cole didn't turn away from what was coming. He rode straight toward it. The ranch had never felt so loud. Not because of noise, but because of presence. Sarah moved through the yard with quiet focus, rolling up her sleeves, taking in every detail. The broken fence, the half-empty stable, the porch that hadn't been swept in months. She didn't criticize. She didn't ask questions. She just picked up a hammer and went to work. Cole watched from the barn doorway, arms crossed. Emma used to do that, he thought. See what needed fixing without saying a word. By midday, the place already looked different, cleaner, lighter, as if the land itself noticed the effort and responded. "You don't have to prove anything," Cole said when she refused to stop working. "I'm not," Sarah replied. "I'm earning my place." That word place hit him harder than he expected. In town, the reaction came fast. Cole felt it the moment he rode in for supplies with Sarah beside him. Conversations stopped. Eyes followed. A woman alone didn't walk into Brennan Ranch without setting tongues loose. "That her?" Someone whispered near the feed store. "Poor girl," another voice said. "Or clever." Sarah kept her head high, but Cole noticed her grip tighten on the reins. Outside the bank, the clerk smirked. "Didn't know you were hiring strays now, Brennan." Cole leaned closer, voice low. "Didn't know you were still counting other men's business." The smirk faded. On the ride back, Sarah finally spoke. "You don't owe me defense." Cole didn't look at her. "I don't owe them silence." The ranch gate creaked open as they returned, but the peace didn't follow them inside. Cole knew the whispers would grow. The town loved simple stories. A widower, a young woman, easy conclusions. That night, as Sarah ate quietly at the table across from him, Cole realized something else. Letting her stay was the easy part. Standing with her would cost him far more. The tension didn't break, it settled in. Every day, Sarah worked harder than anyone Cole had ever hired. She rose before sunrise, fed the animals, repaired fences, learned the rhythms of the land. She listened more than she spoke. And when she did speak, it was thoughtful, respectful. Still, the town watched. The pastor came first. He stood at the edge of the porch one afternoon, hat in hand, eyes kind but searching. "People are talking, Cole." Cole leaned against the railing. "They always do. She's young, alone, they'll assume things. And if they do?" The pastor smiled faintly. "Then they'll be wrong. But wrong ideas can still wound." Sarah overheard none of it. She was too busy fixing a gate that hadn't closed properly in years. Later that evening, Cole found her sitting on the steps, staring at the horizon. "I don't want to bring trouble to your door," she said quietly. Cole sat beside her. "This door's seen worse." She hesitated. "Why are you really helping me?" The question hung between them, heavy and honest. Cole thought of the empty rooms, the silence after dark, the way grief had turned his life into maintenance instead of meaning. "Because losing everything shouldn't mean losing everyone," he said. Sarah nodded, eyes shining, but she didn't cry. That night, the ranch felt less like a shelter and more like a home. Not finished, not perfect, but alive. Still, Cole knew the calm wouldn't last. Banks don't forgive debts. Towns don't forgive rumors. And men like him didn't get second chances without a fight. As he locked the barn doors and looked toward the house, Cole made a quiet decision. Whatever came next, he wouldn't face it alone. The letter arrived on a Monday morning, tucked between routine invoices and advertisements that suddenly felt meaningless. Cole recognized the bank seal instantly. Thick paper, sharp edges, no warmth. He didn't open it right away. Instead, he stood at the kitchen table, fingers resting on the envelope, as if delaying the inevitable might somehow soften it. When he finally read it, his chest tightened. Final notice. Outstanding balance. Immediate action required. The words were clean, professional, merciless. Cole folded the letter slowly and slipped it into his jacket pocket. But the weight didn't leave him. It pressed deeper with every step he took outside, where the land stretched wide and familiar as land. Emma's land. A place built with sweat, loss, and promises that were never meant to expire. Sarah noticed the change before noon. She always did. "You're quieter than usual," she said, handing him a tool as they worked the fence line. Cole avoided her eyes. "Just paperwork." But paperwork had teeth. By afternoon, the tension followed them into town. At the feed store, conversations died the moment they entered. Eyes lingered longer than before. No one bothered to whisper anymore. "She's the reason he's in trouble," someone said openly. Sarah stiffened, but she didn't respond. She paid, nodded politely, and walked out with her head held high. Only when they were outside did her hands begin to shake. That night, Cole found her in the barn. She was packing. The same small bag she'd arrived with. The same few possessions. Neatly folded, controlled, as if she'd been preparing for this moment all along. "I can't stay," she said before he could speak. "They're already blaming me. I won't let you lose everything because of me." Cole stepped forward, heart pounding. "You think leaving fixes that?" "It fixes the story," she replied. "They need someone to point at. If I'm gone, they'll stop." Cole shook his head slowly. "I didn't bring you here to be convenient." Sarah finally looked at him then. "Then why did you?" The answer burned behind his ribs, dangerous, honest. "Because you reminded me how to live." But he swallowed it. Instead, he said, "Because this ranch isn't just mine anymore." Outside, The wind rose again, rattling the barn walls. Sarah exhaled, shoulders trembling, not in fear, but in resolve. "Then we don't run," she said. "We stand." And for the first time since the letter arrived, Cole believed it was possible. The bank smelled of ink, dust, and impatience. Cole felt it the moment he stepped inside. That familiar chill of a place, where human lives were reduced to columns and signatures. Sarah walked beside him, shoulders straight, chin lifted. She wasn't supposed to be there. The banker made that clear with a single raised eyebrow. "This meeting concerns Mr. Brennan," he said coldly. "Then he won't be speaking alone," Sarah replied, sitting anyway. The men across the desk exchanged looks. Cole remained silent, letting her presence do what words couldn't. The banker folded his hands. "You are in arrears. Sentiment does not change numbers." Sarah leaned forward. Numbers didn't bury his wife. Numbers didn't build that ranch. People did. A pause, sharp, uncomfortable. "You seized land from my father when he was dying," she continued. "Promised flexibility. Delivered paperwork. You won't do that here." The banker scoffed. "And who are you to make such demands?" Sarah met his gaze without blinking. Someone who knows what happens when decent people stop standing up. Outside the bank, the conversation had already begun to spread. The pastor was the first to speak openly. He didn't shout. He didn't accuse. He simply reminded people of what the ranch had always meant: jobs in hard winters, help after storms, a place that never turned anyone away. Others followed. A neighbor delayed payment. Another offered labor. Small gestures, quiet but deliberate. The balance shifted, not enough to win, but enough to resist. That night, rain returned. Inside the house, Sarah finally told Cole everything. About the father who worked until his heart failed. About the debt that grew faster than grief. About sleeping in places where no one expected her to stay. Cole listened, hands clenched, jaw tight, not with anger, but recognition. When she finished, he said softly, "You belong here." Sarah swallowed. "So do you." The rain eased before dawn. The bank hadn't surrendered. The town hadn't fully changed. The threat remained. But the ranch stood surrounded by something it hadn't had before. Witnesses, allies, and two people who refused to be pushed back into silence. And that made all the difference. The ultimatum arrived without ceremony. No knock, no warning. Just an envelope wedged into the doorframe, fluttering in the morning wind like a final insult. Cole read it standing in the yard, boots sinking into the damp earth. 7 days. That was all the bank allowed before moving to seize the land. No meetings. No mercy. Just a date, stamped and signed, carrying the quiet confidence of people who believed resistance was pointless. Cole folded the letter carefully, but his hands trembled. This land had raised him, buried Emma, given him something solid to hold onto when everything else fell apart. Losing it wouldn't just mean starting over. It would mean erasing the last proof that his life had once made sense. Sarah found him at the fence line, eyes already searching his face. "It's worse," she said, not asking. Cole nodded. "They're done waiting." For a long moment, they stood in silence, watching the cattle move slowly across the pasture, unaware of deadlines or debts. "They expect you to quit," Sarah said finally. "That's how they win." Cole exhaled. "They usually do." The day unfolded like a test of endurance. Neighbors arrived unannounced, bringing tools, spare lumber, hands ready to work. Fences were repaired, roofs reinforced, not out of optimism but defiance. Still, Cole knew it wouldn't be enough. By evening, he made the choice he'd been avoiding. "I'm selling the west pasture," he told Sarah as they stood in the stable. It'll cover most of what we owe. Sarah turned sharply. That land feeds the herd. It's not just acreage, it's survival. It keeps the rest of the ranch breathing, Cole replied. Sometimes you cut to save. Sarah stepped closer, voice low but fierce. You taught me not to build on broken foundations. Selling your future to pay for the past is exactly that. Cole looked away, jaw tight. I won't lose everything. She softened, placing a hand against the stall door. You already almost did. And you're still standing. She took a breath. There's another way. Cole met her eyes. Say it. We opened the ranch, she said. Not as charity. As purpose, training, work, shelter, something the bank can't measure. It was risky, exposed, terrifying. It was hope. That night Cole didn't sleep. At sunrise, he saddled his horse and rode toward town, not to beg, but to challenge the rules that had never been fair to begin with. The town hall had never been this full. People stood along the walls, filled the aisles, leaned in doorways. Farmers with cracked hands, families who had weathered the same storms. Even those who once whispered now listened in uneasy silence. Cole stepped forward first. His voice was steady. Though his pulse wasn't, he spoke about the debt without excuses. About the land, not as property, but as history. About what happens when places like this disappear quietly, one foreclosure at a time. Then Sarah moved beside him. She didn't raise her voice. She didn't plead. She told the truth. About her father. About promises made and broken. About how losing everything didn't hurt as much as being treated like you never mattered at all. She spoke of work not shelter given, but dignity earned. The room changed. People leaned forward. Faces softened. Murmurs replaced skepticism. When the banker arrived late, he paused at the back, sensing the shift. He walked in with confidence, but it faltered when he saw the papers already on the table. Partnership agreements, witness statements, commitments signed in ink that couldn't be erased by a single office decision. This won't hold, the banker warned. You're delaying the inevitable. Cole met his eyes. We're redefining it. The banker scoffed, but the sound lacked conviction. He left without another word. The following days blurred together. Inspections, forms, long nights. Doubt creeping in when exhaustion set deep. But the momentum didn't break. Each signature pulled another. Each person who stayed added weight. On the final morning, the deadline passed without fanfare. No trucks arrived. No locks were changed. No notice was posted. Sarah stood on the porch, watching the road as the sun rose. They're not coming, she whispered. Cole nodded, breath catching. They can't. She turned to him. What now? Cole took her hand, firm and certain, the gesture simple but final. Now we stop surviving. The land stretched before them scarred, imperfect, alive. They hadn't beaten the system. They'd outgrown it. And that was a victory no document could undo. The ranch no longer woke up in silence. Morning arrived with movement, now boots crossing the porch. Voices calling out tasks. The soft rhythm of work beginning before the sun fully cleared the hills. Where there had once been only routine, there was intention. Where there had been survival, there was purpose. Cole stood near the fence, hands resting on the weathered wood. Watching Sarah guide two newcomers through the careful repair of a broken rail. She didn't rush them. She corrected gently, the kind of patience that came from believing. People were worth the time it took to teach them. The ranch responded to her presence. Fences held. Animals settled. The land itself seemed to breathe easier. Cole barely recognized the place. And if he was honest, he barely recognized himself either. 3 years earlier, grief had stripped him. down to function alone. Wake, sleep, repeat. Feeling had been dangerous then. Feeling meant remembering. Remembering meant pain. So he had learned to live quietly, efficiently, without asking for more. But somewhere between a broken shelter on the open plains and a stand against the bank, that life had ended. Not suddenly, not dramatically, slowly, truthfully. Emma would have liked this, he thought. The realization surprised him, not with pain, but with warmth. Her memory no longer felt like an open wound. It felt like a foundation. The pastor visited again that afternoon. He leaned on the fence beside Cole, surveying the work with quiet approval. "You didn't just protect land," he said. "You created a place where people remember who they are." Cole glanced toward Sarah, laughing softly with the others. She did. As evening settled in, Sarah joined him at the edge of the field. The sky stretched wide, painted in gold and soft blue. "Do you ever think about leaving?" she asked. Cole shook his head slowly. "Not anymore." She considered that. "I stayed at first because I had nowhere else. Then because the work mattered." She smiled faintly. "Now it feels like choosing." Cole turned to face her fully. "It is." They stood together in the fading light, the land stretching endlessly before them. This place had been built from loss, but it was no longer defined by it. The first winter tested everything they had built. Snow came early and stayed late, pressing heavy against the roofs, sealing roads, turning every simple task into labor. Supplies thinned, tempers rose. A few people left quietly, deciding this life demanded more than they could give. No one blamed them. What remained was stronger. Sarah met each challenge head-on, never asking more of others than she demanded of herself. Cole stood beside her, not above her. Decisions were made together, sometimes wrong, sometimes costly, but always honest. And slowly, trust replaced fear. On the coldest night of the season, the power failed. Darkness filled the house, followed by nervous laughter and the scrape of chairs as people gathered in the main room. Candles were lit, breath fogged the air. Someone began telling a story about a winter long ago, and soon another voice joined in. Then laughter. Cole sat near the fireplace, watching the flickering light dance across familiar faces. Not employees, not dependents, family. Sarah settled beside him, her shoulder brushing his. The contact was small, unremarkable, yet it grounded him more than words ever could. "Do you ever regret stopping that day?" she asked softly. "On the ridge." Cole considered the question carefully. He thought of the man he had been, closed, cautious, convinced that isolation was the same as strength. He thought of the moment everything changed. One choice, one refusal to look away. "No," he said. "That was the first brave thing I'd done in a long time." Sarah smiled, not performative, just true. Outside, the storm passed, leaving behind a clean, silent world. Spring would come. New problems would follow. Nothing about this life promised ease or permanence. But the foundation was solid, not because it had been built with perfect boards or legal victories, but because it had been built with dignity, shared labor, and the courage to care when walking away would have been easier. Cole looked around the room one last time and understood something he hadn't in years. Home wasn't a place you owned. It was a place you chose. And this was home.